it might not be as worth it to you because you can do it versus someone else who really needs that problem fixed. It's worth a lot more to them.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the RJM show. My name is Gabriel Schickler, and as always, we are joined by the one and only real Joe McCarthy to talk about all things related to mindset, business, personal development, generally becoming a better, more productive, and more capable human being. So we've got a bunch of things to get into today. First, it's been a week, Joe. Instagram, it's pulling some shenanigans. I was going to say another word, but I don't know how long we have to give YouTube before we can cuss. But tell me about that a little bit. And I do want to get further into that later in the show. How are things going on our end? Let's start there.
They're not going terribly, but I definitely would say we have encountered some hurdles. So from what I know, from what I've gathered, I actually talked to a guy at Meta today, this Indian guy.
You actually got in touch with a Meta employee?
Yeah, it was more about like content though, so it wasn't like a huge help. Man. But they told me they were gonna. Hopefully, it actually happens. They said they're gonna email me some more info on what's actually going on in the creator space, why people are getting blocked. From what I know, they have fired 8,000 staff members at Meta, right? So that's like 14 to 16% of their human staff, and of course they replaced it with AI. And obviously, with AI, we know how that goes. They're hallucinating a little bit, not 100% accurate. So I'm definitely not, and I'm glad I'm not the only one because it's such a pain when I'm the only one getting action blocked or screwed by Meta. So I'm glad other people are sharing in my misery. But yeah, so long story short, can't DM new people, can't send links, can't post links on my story. Even like some follow-ups, if I'm doing too many of the same message, it's kind of messing it up. I'm a little weary about like responding to comments, so just all around the board, action blocks galore. So I'm definitely we're not able to DM new people, not able to send people the booking link. So it's not amazing, but we're getting through it,
chugging away. Yeah. And I guess actually, we are going a little bit deeper than I expected, so we'll just roll with it. First off, it's very impressive that you managed to actually talk with anyone at Meta because unlike YouTube, they're not the best about actually like keeping in touch with people, or I don't think they even have like a customer support line or anything like that. So notoriously difficult. But this is something I was thinking about today, which is Instagram, is the hub. It's the central place on social media. Facebook is more for older demographics. LinkedIn is locked for business. TikTok is kind of eating up some of Instagram's market share, but it's seen as like a much less mature platform for the most part. Yeah. And so Instagram's really in that sweet spot. But I was thinking about this from our perspective. Thank goodness that we're starting this whole podcast thing, right? And kind of diversifying our options. But it seems like if Meta doesn't fix this, they're just going to start bleeding people, especially because it seems like social media in general, especially among younger generations, is actually getting less popular. Have you noticed this at all?
In what sense when you say less popular?
Like people, I forget where I heard this. There was something that was saying that like younger demographics are starting to spend a little less time on social media. Like it's probably still more on average what we would consider to be healthy.
Yeah. Well, more or less compared to what? Like a couple years ago or something?
Yeah, a couple years ago, millennials, like different demographics and things like that. And it seems that people are getting either burnt out or maybe pickier. I'm not really sure which it is.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to see. And then you have these, I don't think it's going to be practical for everyone to do this, but you do have these kind of, fads where people are popping up and saying like, oh, I'm like using a flip phone now. And
yeah,
like you have your little
kind of, I guess I do see that.
And things like that.
I see a lot more people doing like the hiatus where they're going to take a few days off, or it's like, hey, I'm going to spend the weekend without my phone. So I think that's becoming less of a weird thing and more of just like a standard practice. I know a lot of people who just don't use their phones as much on the weekends, and I think that's probably a good practice to put into place.
For sure. But where I'm going with all this is, less the case now. But definitely building up until this point, pretty much all your eggs have been in the Instagram basket.
Big time.
And ideally, they're going to keep being there in the long term. And so I think you look at something like the present situation, it can be very easy to be like, oh, like doom and gloom, the world's over. Like I got to go get a real job or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so when something like this just completely comes out of the blue, you had no way of foreseeing it. You got to deal with it. How do you keep yourself from going insane, catastrophizing, scaring yourself out of your mind with, you know, things that may or may not actually happen?
Yeah, I just assume that things are going to come up and things are going to happen. So there's also, I'm typically a pretty logical person. So I'm like, what is the use in stressing myself out? I'm kind of just adding more angst and nervousness to an already pretty crappy situation. So there's no use in me trying to. I actually put out a video today about not trying to control the uncontrollables, or just like really seeing in your life how many things are in your control or things that you strategize versus what things just fall into place and, you know, just happen just because that's how life is. And anytime something like this happens, I guess number one, I don't try to control things I can't control. I focus on what I can control, and that obviously gives me more empowerment, if you want to call it that. On top of that, though, I would also say that it reminds me of why I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. Like I get these reminders all the time, like, oh, you can't send DMs. Oh, you got suspended on Instagram, or like some stupid thing happens, right? So it's just yet another reminder to get into email marketing or get on YouTube or collect people's, you know, info a different way that doesn't require it to be on this platform that I don't own, you don't own. They could do whatever they want at any time, and then we could be screwed. So
that is something that's kind of peculiar to me about modern life. And I do think this is correlated very heavily with the collapse of religious observance. You are seeing that kind of. There are some people that are getting more into faith, but a lot of it seems more about like the aesthetic as opposed to the actual substance of it.
mm-hmm.
And I think the reason for that is in such a scientific age, we are obsessed with the things that we can measure and the things that we can see. But the problem is the second you take, and I mean, we talked about woo stuff on a previous episode, the second you take into account the spiritual or something that you don't fully understand, even if it is something grounded in the physical world, if you can't measure it, if you can't, you know,
quantify it or like understand how it actually works,
then it's scary. And so we put that in the box of the things that we ignore and we pretend they're not there. And so I think on the one hand, like it is important to recognize at the end of the day, hypothetically, you know, there's a world where like all this just collapses tomorrow by some act of God. You know, the sun puts out an EMP wave that fries the entire electrical grid of the entire Earth.
Yeah, we'll probably have
and we're done. Like,
we'll have bigger problems than not getting leads, though. So.
Well, I don't know. Speak for yourself. But but yeah. So the point though is like something could always happen. Do you have a plan B or anything in mind, or is it just like if like I'll cross that bridge when I come to it? Like you're just 100% focused on what's going on now, or do you have like some idea of?
Well, what do you mean by plan B?
Like, you know, if in this specific case Instagram doesn't work out, do you have a clear idea yet of like, I'm going to pivot to this? Again, I don't think it's terribly likely, but
I would just be building on all other platforms. I think if Meta gets shut down, or let's say it's just Instagram and not Facebook, I'll pivot to Facebook. If Facebook gets shut down, I'm going to pivot to LinkedIn. If LinkedIn gets shut down, I'm going to go all in on YouTube. So I think it's just picking a platform. The good news is that I'm honestly not too frightened about any of that, because over the past 7 or 8 years of me doing this, I've just gathered so many skills, so many connections. Like my Rolodex is massive. So it's like if all hell breaks loose and I lose if Instagram disappears overnight, I mean, I could find so many different ways to get resourceful to make, you know, 10 or 12K if I needed to. So I'm not too afraid of this thing just disappearing and me starting completely from scratch, because people generally know my name in the industry and I have the basics of how do I grow a brand from scratch, or what content's going to attract the right leads. How do I position myself? So because I have all of those, there's no plan B. I'm going all in on what I currently have, and I want to really maximize that. But I guess you could say my plan B, or just like by default, would just be gathering up as many skills and resources and a Rolodex as I can.
Makes sense. The reason I ask is because there are these two competing schools of thought in entrepreneurship. The first is like, okay, you know, you need to get a job, get a reliable income, make sure you're totally set, you have something to fall back on. And this is one of the arguments that certain people tried to pose to me in arguing that I should finish getting a college degree. Is they're like, well, it's something that you can fall back on if this doesn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the other side of the spectrum, you've got people that
My
say,
parents said the same thing.
yeah, well, that's, and not just like with a degree, but in anything. They're like, well, if you're going for stability first, that's going to cost you time and money and attention and effort anyway. So you might as well just like burn the bridges and give yourself no option but to actually succeed and to make it. So where do you sit on that?
My gut says it's the cliche, oh, burn the boats, like no plan B. Because I don't really have a plan B. I'd rather just make plan A work. So I'd say that's my gut feeling. But with me being like a husband and a dad and about to be a dad of two, it's like there's definitely, I wouldn't say it's like backup plans set, but I feel like I want to make sure I have a decent amount in the bank. So if something happens, I can live off of that for X amount of months and be fine. Or if Instagram is screwed up, this is why we're starting this podcast. This is why we're getting on YouTube. This is why we're working really hard on sending out consistent emails and like getting other streams, other avenues to speak to our audiences. That's not just Instagram. But I don't have like a plan B. I've never been the type of person that's like, go get, like I never once thought I wanted to get a college degree to fall back on. But that's literally what like my dad was like, because at the time, what's funny is this conversation didn't really have much to do with business. It was more about farming, because I was probably like a 14 or 15-year-old kid, and I was telling myself like, oh yeah, I'm going to be like a farmer for the rest of my life. And so the funny thing is when I had that conversation with my dad, or I don't even know, it might have been my mom, because she seems to be more weary about, me failing and things like that. She was like, well, shouldn't you get like a degree? Like what happens if like you're feeding the cows and like they crush your legs and you can't walk and you can't farm? I'm like, okay, I'll have bigger problems. Like what am I going to do? Like get like I don't even know, like a professor job because I got a degree?
So it sounds like you're not burying your head in the sand and pretending that things couldn't happen, but you're also not devoting any like physical attention.
No.
You have confidence in your ability to pivot, but you're not like, okay, you have your flow chart, if X, then Y, if Y, then Z, if Z, then Q. You're just like, I'm on this, and if I have to change, I will later.
Yeah, exactly. Like I used to watch the show Doomsday Preppers. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
I'm familiar. I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like they over-index on backup plan. What if X happens? Then we need to be completely prepared. And they're like just like banking on some shit hits the fan type of scenario. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's a waste of energy and time to dedicate yourself only to that stuff that's like, oh, well, what if this happens? What if that happens? Because you're almost telling yourself, oh, I don't really believe fully in your capabilities. And there's a difference between things that are in your control versus things that are out of your control. Things that are in my control, again, those are the things I'm going to focus on. And I would rather direct all my attention to that stuff no matter what happens, because then I don't have to worry about like if shit hits the fan, because even if it does, I'm going to be fine because I've spent all of my focus and at least most of my focus and energy on attaining those skills. Mm-hmm. Versus I feel like a lot of people, they will get the degree or they'll, find like a safe route or have a backup plan, and that distracts from the original goal in a way.
I wonder if we could spin something out of this, because I have an entirely different read on the prepper thing. Like I went down that rabbit hole a few years ago. Yeah, I don't think those.
Well, I think it's a good thing to be prepared. It's like, yeah, you want to have like the foundations and resources.
I don't think they're operating primarily out of a need for certainty. I think it's primarily a pursuit of meaning. Like if you look at all the fiction that we have, for example, you look at the genre of zombies. Mm-hmm. There's always been an idea in mythology in various forms of like, undead spirits, ghosts, ghouls, the spirits of the dead coming back, whatever. But the idea of this ravening horde of just an external threat, that's completely a modern invention. And I think the reason for that is the same reason that Fight Club was very popular. It's because modern life feels very hollow to a lot of people.
Yeah, like very mundane.
Yeah, like the point of Fight Club, right, was he's putting points on a scoreboard he doesn't care about. Like he's buying the furniture, and I've not seen the movie in probably half a decade at this point. So
I just watched it a few months ago.
Oh, that's
so if you
hilarious.
need some refreshers.
Yeah. So correct me if I'm getting anything wrong here, but having been down the prepping rabbit hole, I think it's the exact same thing. It's people are not trying to necessarily get certainty for the future, although that's a part of it. I think they're trying to be a hero in a story. And for the record,
would agree, yeah.
Yeah, for the record, I don't think that's a bad thing. But if you're,
but it could be.
If you're the guy in the community that has the backup generator and a year's worth of food and all that stuff, and you're in North Carolina 2 years ago when the hurricane hits, suddenly you're the local hero. You're going to take care of your community. You're going to help people out. You've got guns and bullets and stuff to keep looters off, because that is a very real thing that unfortunately does still happen, no matter how modern and enlightened we pretend we are. And so I think that's, I don't think it's primarily a certainty versus uncertainty thing, because the idea of society literally collapsing, so many things have to fail for that to happen, and so many different incentive systems. Like we can talk all day about how brutal the modern financial structure is and all these different things, but they're all incentivized to keep existing.
Yeah.
You might have something like the Soviet Union, for example, horrible living conditions. They did not have freedom of expression. They did not have the ability to actually have the class mobility to move into the upper echelons if you had that drive and that gusto and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the system also wanted to keep existing. People in power want to keep their power, and so you need people to have some way to latch onto that and to have a part of it. So anyway.
Yeah, well, I feel like in a way you could connect that to being too hyper fixated on like, what if shit hits the fan? I want to be like the hero for my family to, in a way I feel like you could almost directly correlate it to that stuff. And in a way I feel like there is definitely a wrong way to do the doomsday prepping, because the whole premise of the show is like these people are going way too above and beyond.
Are they the people that are like genuinely like building bunkers in their backyard and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like their whole life. So they're not even focused
For any preppers in the audience, I think that shit is awesome, by the way.
I do too. I mean, I got all kinds of stuff that I'm not going to tell you about that's in my closet and in my house. Don't come. I got guns. But...
He has 87 landmines he will put in his yard if you...
Yeah, I'm like a guard dog. Yeah, I think it's pretty dope. But I'm just saying, I feel like for them, maybe I have it wrong, but in a way, they're way too much they're over-indexing on what if shit goes wrong. Like, they're not enjoying their life. They're just living in this fantasy that you said, that like, oh, I want to be the hero, like when shit does hit the fan. Mm-hmm. Well, I'd rather just focus on what's good now. How can I maximize what's all here right in front of me and make the most out of it?
What specifically gives you confidence that you will be able to address problems as they come up instead of needing to anticipate everything?
Well, right now it's evidence that I've done that time and time again. I wouldn't say I've always been like that. I think that in the beginning, I would stress out about stupid things. The first time I got my Instagram suspended, I was having panic attacks for like a week.
How long ago was this?
2022 maybe. So.
Oh man.
This was 4 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
I think I had maybe, a couple 100,000 followers. I was still getting leads from it, but like not to the extent that I am currently. Like if it got shut down now, arguably it'd be infinitely worse, but I would definitely handle it way better. But at the time, I was like, this is the end of the world. Like, what's going to happen? Like, I didn't really have any pivots. I feel like I didn't really have all of the skill sets dialed in. I didn't even have the offer at the time necessarily. So I was depending on, other people to pay me, like, for closing deals and things like that. But now it's like, because I've proven the past handful of years that I can build an offer from scratch, I can sell not someone else's service, but my own service, my own value, things that I built with my bare hands and my brain, put it into a program. And I've found ways to generate leads, get referrals, just with the evidence time and time and time again. Usually something happened. I mean, if you're running a good business and you're growing, things kind of break here and there, like it's not meant to be this smooth ride up the hill. And if things aren't breaking here and there, or like you're not having to pivot here and there, you're probably just maintaining, which means you're not really growing. So just the evidence, like I've just shown myself time and time again that I am the type of person that can figure it out. And I don't need to stress about it.
And is that just a matter of like keeping the small commitments to yourself every day, or is there anything beyond that that you'd say has gotten you to that point?
I think it's more about the focus. Like, where's my focus going? Because, like, yeah, I can keep the commitments and have confidence with that, but I feel like it's more about when things don't go right, how am I reacting? And it's taken time, again, because when in the past, when things would hit the fan, I'd be like freaking out. And I'd be texting people and I'd be like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Like, who can I pay? Like, get this thing fixed. I would say in this present moment, I wouldn't say I have like a protocol, but I'm more just grounded. I'm like it'll figure itself out. And again, it goes back to the control thing. It's like I don't want to focus on things that I can't control. There's a quote that I heard a long time ago. I can't remember it, but it was a good quote. It had something to do with like this seems to be a common trend, by the way. It's like I have
such a great setup.
I have such good quotes. Sorry for like blue balls. Is that
blue balling it?
Blue balling you guys?
You're edging us.
It was a really good quote. Let me think about that. Give me 5 seconds of silence.
Yeah. Bro really said, I got a great quote. I just can't remember it, but know that it was great.
It was so good. Okay, wait, I'm losing my train of thought. It had something to do with like you worrying and stressing about a problem that's already occurred is like you paying. It was some kind of analogy, like you're paying a debt that. Ah, man.
Oh, I think I've
heard
something
that?
similar. Yeah, it was.
Here, give me 2 seconds. What's that quote that's like you worrying and having anxiety about a problem that's already occurring is like you're paying a debt you don't owe? Okay. Mark Twain, worrying is like paying a debt you don't owe. Okay, so I got it, I added a few extra spices to it, but...
Okay, I'd heard something slightly differently, which was saying that it was like paying twice or something.
Yeah, something like that. But like the premise is like it's already shit. Why make it shittier by worrying and focusing on what I can't control? How about we accept that this is how it is and we figure out what's in our control to maybe make it a little bit better?
I hear that. There's also a very real difference between having a problem that just arises in the natural course of business. Like, oh, I want to hit, a higher income month. Okay. Need to look at my marketing, need to look at my lead gen, my close rate, my deliverables, referrals. Like, there are things that naturally arise as problems, but then there's also stuff that's out of left field.
Black swan.
Yeah, black swan events. Your payment processor gets shut down. COVID happens, destroys your business. Yeah, your Instagram gets blocked. Yeah. You get put on blast by some like random influencer.
Nah, I would like that. If you guys want to do CoffeeZilla, any of you guys, do a deep dive.
For the record, I'm not saying that these are all things that have happened to you, but like what I'm saying is it's the kind of thing that you absolutely cannot anticipate. And then when it happens, because we are wired for survival and we perceive these things as threats to our livelihood, our brain responds to it very similarly as like literally somebody charging at you with an axe.
I think initially, just like that's the feeling. But then you realize, wait a minute, I'm not being charged by a dude with an axe. Like it's just like I'm still gonna live, I'm still gonna be fine. So I think I've been able to train my brain. Like it's like let's say you get some kind of hate online. I mean that's like the micro version of like what's like this person's hating on me. Like in the beginning, it's like if I get a hate comment or someone in my class makes a whole fake Joe McCarthy page, which that still is up. I don't know who it was, but go look up fake Joe McCarthy. You'll see it. At the time, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. But then I look at it, I'm laughing. It's like, okay, I'm still surviving. I'm here. Everything's fine. So you just start to realize like this is all a game. It's business. Mm-hmm. Like we're not actually getting chased by saber-toothed tigers. We're not actually getting attacked.
So it sounds like you're saying that's not a time delay in a single event of like you go from, oh, this is a threat to my existence to, you give it an hour and you think about it and you're like, okay, I'm okay. But you're saying you go through something awful from start to finish. And then at the end of it, you look around and you're like, okay. Like, I'm good.
It's just like the speed of, what's the word? Regulation, right? Like
mm-hmm.
If we can have the event happen, give yourself a little time, a couple minutes, maybe an hour or two, go back to normal. I think I saw a video from Layla Hermosi actually talk about it. Let me see if I can find it. It was really good. It was also a really good video, but she was talking about how basically what I was just saying, like things are going to happen in your business. So one of the biggest habits you could build is going from the problem back down to like baseline. It's like how quickly are you, like a huge key to success, that's very overused, but big key to success is if a problem arises, how quickly do you go back to baseline? And if it takes a long time, if you're like a day and you're like stewing with the idea, or if it's been like a week and you're still like marinating with this anxiety, like that's a very telltale sign that you either need to get some work done ASAP or maybe you're not cut out to be an actual business owner.
Do you think that there are certain people that just genuinely are not cut out to do it, or does it really just entirely come down to
do what?
The willingness to actually make it, to own a business, to go through the...
Well, we would have to be like very specific, because what does it mean to make it? What is a successful business?
Oh, what did you mean a moment ago when you were saying it then? Like some people aren't cut out for XYZ. What was
I guess
that?
I'm talking about more like the higher level, like teams. I would say if you're like, I'd say after 30K a month, if you start hiring people, that's when you typically maybe get some more challenges. At that point, it's like not everybody's cut out to do like a 30 to 50K a month business.
Why 30K?
Oh wait, I think I found it.
The resilience aspect.
I look at resilience.
I want to know your mindset around the resilience aspect.
I look at resiliency as how quickly you can return to baseline. So resiliency is essentially like
Gag.
your what?
That was good.
Okay, so
Whoa.
like this is your emotional state, and then an event occurs, and then your emotional state goes here or goes here. And resiliency is just how quickly can you go back here to where you were prior. I just focus on the speed. I don't focus on not having a reaction. Like someone can come in my office, they can tell me some really bad news, and I can be like, motherfucker. And then I'm like, yeah, okay. We're going to fix it within like 60 seconds. I look at the very beginning of my business career. If something bad had happened, it might have taken me 3 weeks to regulate myself emotionally. I'm up thinking about it. I'm ruminating on it. I'm stressed about it. Now it takes me a few minutes. I've measured my progress for resiliency just by what's the speed that I can get back to baseline.
I want to know your mind.
So she basically just said what I said more eloquently,
I may or may not leave that in. I may or may not put it up on the screen. We'll see. I don't know.
I think we'll put it up on the screen. Gabe is getting pretty good at these edits.
Am I allowed to do that though? Like I don't know where the line is with YouTube. I've completely forgotten whatever my follow-up question for that was. Oh, I was going to ask why 30K specifically. Why is that the line where you feel like there's that cutoff or that separation?
Yeah. Well, I feel like with 30K, 40K, 50K, that's when it's harder to do that completely on your own. Like you might get lucky and be able to do that, but at 30 to 50K, that's when you need maybe an editor, a setter, closer, someone to potentially close your deals. So you start hiring teams, and then you have the whole like leadership management. Typically, I wouldn't say this is 100% of the time, but like typically you might have multiple ways to get leads. So an example was like, okay, I can't solely rely on Instagram because that only got me to X amount per month through DMs. So I need to go hire this email guy, or I need to get into paid ads, which I have not done yet, but I'm sure inevitably if I'm at let's say, 50 or 60K a month and our goal is to shoot for 100, 150, 180, I'm going to need to bring on whether it's webinars or lower ticket things, or we full on get into paid ads. Things are going to break. Things are not going to go right. I also need a higher tolerance for spend, which I think that's maybe a big bottleneck for me is I'm cautious with how I spend my money. Like I'm definitely a lot more, or I feel like I'm a lot less risk averse than the average person, which is how I got to where I'm at. But I still could be better about, spending more. Because it's like if the writing's on the wall and I get a 3 to 6x return, people have said like, okay, why are you spending $8,000 a month? Why don't you triple that and spend, what is 8 times 3?
24.
24, So like if I'm trying to spend 24 grand, that should hopefully get me potentially,
Claude is
3x.
rotting your brain for the record.
Nah, the only reason I glitched there is because I'm managing a couple things here with the switchies.
Nah, I'm still gonna give you shit for it.
No. All right, fine. If you told me what's 6 times 3, I could do 18, but for some reason I was glitching at 8
Yeah,
times
because you've
3.
had a full 30 seconds to think about that since it came up as an issue.
Anyways, we're gonna cut that out, right, Gabe? So
how much are you paying me? Renegotiate that real quick.
But yeah, so like what I would say is if I don't even know what I was saying. Oh yeah. So with you doing 30 to 60K or 30 to 50K a month, it takes a little bit more infrastructure. It takes more spend. Naturally, things start to break. And new challenges arise. It's just like the cliche thing. Oh, yeah, new level, new devil, right? Whereas with 10, 20, even getting up to the 30K months, you could do that solopreneuring, DMing some people, closing deals, but it usually requires a little bit more. Getting to 30 to 50K requires more infrastructure.
Yeah,
and that's
makes
when
sense.
some people don't have a tolerance or the, I guess, bandwidth for it.
It's interesting because I was watching an interview that Alex Ramosi did just yesterday, and one of the things he talked about was how, at level 1, it's just you by yourself, and you got to go kill this goblin or whatever.
Yeah.
Your little entry level enemy into the adventure, and then later on, you got to kill a dragon, but you have an army. You have resources, you have connections, you have more experience, and so it's like. Basically, the point of it was the challenges that you face at the higher levels do increase, but also to get there in the first place, you have to be a higher capacity, more competent human.
Yeah,
So-
definitely. Well, something else that's interesting about that is there's been so much content made about this, but as you continue to grow, it's not that your problems dissipate or things disappear. Like there's certain challenges that disappear, but then new things arise, or there's different challenges, bigger challenges. So, for instance, as you, like when you're baseline, the main thing you're focusing on is survival. I need money. I have financial problems. Like I'm in total ruin with my finances, right? But then as you start making more money, that problem goes down. And as you keep making more money, that problem disappears. But now that you're here, there's new things that come up. Like, okay, now I got to feed these people's
People
families,
counting on you
people
and-
counting on you.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like there's trade-offs. It's not always going to be like 100% problem-free. But it's like, would you rather have these smaller problems that are like much more immediate, or totally get rid of those, get to the point where we don't have those problems at all, we don't even think about them, but there are definitely bigger challenges and responsibility. So it's sort of like a trade-off. And some people, they'd rather, there's a reason why there's so many homeless people. Some people genuinely don't want to not be homeless. They're like, listen, I don't have any responsibility. I can just smoke my crack and live on the street. I don't want to have this big responsibility. So there's different levels to it. A lot of people don't want to be homeless, but they also don't want to have this huge responsibility weighing over their shoulders.
Something that you mentioned on an earlier episode, actually, I can't remember if it was an episode or just a conversation we were having or what. I think Tyler was involved. But I had asked what the core kind of driving force was, your core belief, that's what it was. And you said that it was a belief in people's potential. So we could look at that and say, okay, well, the homeless person probably, 99% of people has more potential than that.
Yeah.
They can figure something out. And then you've got people in the middle. Maybe that's like their absolute highest potential. Maybe they could go higher, whatever. What does potential actually mean to you? Let's start there.
I feel like it's almost more of like a spiritual thing, because I don't think necessarily there's like a cap to what you could achieve. Why can I do what I'm doing at my age and some other 24-year-old can't do that? Like I don't think that's necessarily true. I think everyone could achieve, within reason, really anything that they want to achieve. Obviously, if they put their mind to it. I think it's more about helping people see it. Like I feel like I get a big kick and fulfillment out of helping people start to see what their potential could be. Because in reality, you could argue even the homeless people, they have a huge amount of potential, but are they going to see it? Is it worth getting them to see it? Are they actually going to follow it? There's a lot of different caveats with that, but I feel like with there's people who they do want to get better, but maybe they don't know how to do that. They don't know what that looks like. They don't have like a grandiose vision. If I can come in and show them not only that they have this bigger vision and they could achieve this bigger vision, but give them somewhat of a roadmap to get there. And then you can just see it, like they have just a different, I guess, look on life and their potential, or even charging more of what they're worth, getting higher level clients, growing their socials. Like it pertains to all that stuff. So it's more about how can I get people to see it. that's more of like a motivator for me than just, telling people that they have potential.
I was going to ask this as a question. I realized it sounded kind of stupid.
Try it.
It sounds...
The only way to get to a good question is by asking a stupid question first.
Good thing we got a lot of episodes to do that then.
Yeah.
Sounds like essentially what you're saying, and this is like literally the definition, so it makes sense. The root cause of any limiting belief is just not really seeing the possibility that's there, assuming that it does exist.
I think so. But there's more to it, though. Because I could believe that I could charge $8K, but there's maybe limiting beliefs about...
Yeah. I mean, like, potential by no means implies fulfillment. Anyone that is... I mean, let's take reasonable circumstances off the table,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm 300 pounds, I'm just big bone, whatever. Okay, if you're 600 pounds, you have the potential to lose that weight. Or at least lose a little bit of it. And that's as simple as like not eating for a few days, and you just deafened some innocent people with those with that sound effect.
Just doing the applause because a lot of people will agree with that. Continue.
I told you it. Oh gosh. Okay. Well, good thing I have the individual mic lines. We are recording on the Rodecaster, right?
Yeah.
Good.
No, we're good.
I'm paranoid about that now. But yeah, so it's like you do have the potential to get there. Similarly, in anyone's career, they probably could be making more money, especially in, like, if you're watching this, you probably could be making more money. Doesn't necessarily mean it's what you want to do, but you probably could.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I mean, if you're watching this, you probably want to make more money.
Yeah.
Bad example. But you get what I'm saying. Just because there is potential to do something doesn't mean it's going to happen by default. But recognizing it in the first place is the most foundational element.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Because the only other way for you to reach it is by accident, and accidents are, by their nature, not reliable.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Don't try to hit it by accident.
Yeah. So, one thing that we covered on a previous episode was the importance of finding a mentor, getting that outside perspective. Are there any other practices, behaviors, habits, thoughts that you'd recommend people adopt to help themselves to really start to recognize that potential, to like elevate their mind and not be caught up in the weeds of daily life so much that they're not looking long term like, oh, I could be that person, I could go there?
Oh, we definitely have covered it on, I don't know if it was episode 2 or 3, but yeah, definitely getting in the rooms with other people, figuring out, are there people in your space or doing what you want to be doing who are making the money? Because that's the easiest way to see, like, okay, I'm in this space. This person that I see on social media or in this coaching group is making $50,000 a month. That just proves right then and there that it's possible, right? I'd say that's just that's the obvious way. I mean, other than that, I don't know if I have any specific tips or strategies to see your potential. I think you just need to start putting in reps to, because it's hard to just jump to the grandiose vision. You know what I mean? Like, I had to see that I could charge 3 or 4K before I could see that I could charge 5, before I could see that I could charge 8. But in a way, I always knew that I could be charging 8 to 10, 10 to 15, or whatever. Like, down the line, there is like a vision of me not charging less than like 50 grand, right? But do I fully believe that I can do that like ASAP? No. Is that like on the forefront of my mind? No. I'm kind of focusing on like stepping stones. So I guess maybe mapping it out, having different stepping stones, different, I guess, levels to hit before we really make that grandiose vision super vivid, if that makes sense. Because if you're just starting out, the cliche thing, the easiest way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time, right? So if we're looking at how do we get to $10 million or $300 million net worth, we got the cars, we got the house, we got the family, that's hard. It's harder to believe that versus saying, could I get one client this week to pay me X amount of dollars? And then once we get that, bump up the price a few $100, then that proves that it's possible. Then we, kind of keep going that way. So I guess it's more just like having stepping stones. So we're not just jumping the gun to this huge vision that's harder to believe, especially in the beginning.
Interesting. And what would you say are the most common limiting beliefs you see, whether it's like clients or just in general with social media and online business?
I think the biggest thing is they feel like they can't provide. People just assume they can't provide enough value for what they're charging. I think also they misconstrue and they assume that the price is a direct correlation to the features versus the result. So people don't pay you based on features or how many calls you get or how much information is in your modules. They're going to pay you for the result. And one thing that's also interesting to go even deeper on that is that result to you might not be as grandiose or great as, or it might not be as worth it to you because you can do it versus someone else who really needs that problem fixed. It's worth a lot more to them. So like an example, which I think I heard, I don't know where I heard this, but just take a plumber. It's like a plumber could do his own plumbing and he probably doesn't think that the result is that great. It's like not that worth it. Like sure, you're going to pay standard prices for that. But if someone like me, the last thing I want to do is mess with my plumbing or pipes or whatever. So I'm going to hire a plumber, and if it's convenient, I'm going to pay whatever it takes to get the thing fixed because it's worth it for me to get this thing fixed in my house. So in a way, like we downgrade the result that we can get people. We don't focus on the result we can get people, and we assume that the pricing and our worth is directly tied to the value, which is stupid because value or information it's a commodity, right?
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. 2 thoughts on that, actually 3. So I got to make sure I remember all these. The first would be, it almost seems like if you're correlating the price with the features, you're setting yourself up to fail, because especially when you get to the higher levels, like the most qualified prospects that we're getting at the moment, the people we most want to work with, don't beat around the bush. They don't want 70 hours of course content to consume to fix the problem. And so it's like, if you're like, oh, I need to add more substance, it's like, no, how do you communicate the value more or just have a more valuable result, period, to get people? And then the second thing is an idea from Starship Troopers, which is a wonderful book. I absolutely love it because it's political philosophy disguised as science fiction. Great book, nothing like the movie. But anyway, both of them are highly entertaining. But one of the things that he has is Heinlein, who's the author, he has this professor character. It's basically a self-insert for him just roasting every ideology that he hates. And one of the points that he argues in the book is he says, market value is a fiction because everybody has a different willingness to pay, which is, and he doesn't say this in the book, but the extension of that idea is it's basically just what's expressed in the supply and demand curve. And so just because, the result of, getting a competent plumber isn't worth X amount to one person, doesn't mean that you can't have a super successful business charging much higher to a, more narrow specific target audience, which exactly. Neither of us know anything about plumbing. So maybe
maybe that's not a good example.
Not the best example, but it's especially with online business, with a lot of these more immaterial services, a lot of times people offer programs and coaching and stuff like that. It seems very important to actually understand what the people need and what they value.
Yeah, I think that's also a huge reason why really getting clear on your target audience and what the result is worth to them. That's why it's so important. I literally force my clients to go through a whole workbook that helps them figure out the quantitative value, the qualitative value of their offers. Because time and time again, I'll get, let's say, like a health coach or a wellness coach, and they're always like, oh, I don't give like a tangible result like you do. It's not quantitative. Because like for my offer, I'm helping you make money, right? So naturally, it becomes more of like a no-brainer. So why wouldn't you pay Joe X amount of dollars if he's going to help you build a business that does 2, 3, 4, 5X that every single month? You'd be stupid not to do that. So in a sense, people see that and they use that as an excuse to maybe not push their offer as much or like charge less because they just assume like, okay, well, if I can't get people a tangible result, it's not worth as much. When in reality, if you can show your clients, which is what I do, what the result really is worth and what it's costing them by not doing something like let's say a wellness program or a fitness program or a health program, in a way that qualitative result is worth infinitely more than a quantitative result, because sure, it can make you more money and that's maybe easier logically to quantify, but just take fitness for an example, right? It's like if you're overweight and you can't play with your kids and you're having heart palpitations and you're not healthy, is it really that big of a deal to spend $2 or $3 if it means that you can get your life in check, you can play with your kids, you're going to have more confidence, you're going to have more energy. And I'll show people out of the box ways to show them how even just quantifiably this is worth it, because some people in the health field, right, or people who need that health coaching, they're spending a ton on meds, or they're going to a therapist and they're spending money on a therapist. And by you hiring this health coach or this wellness coach, you're not going to have to spend that money. So I show my clients in so many different ways how indirectly, let's say with wellness or fitness or whatever, by you having the confidence and you showing up with more energy and you being able to show up better at work and in your relationships and less drama. And there's a million different things indirectly that's going to help you make more money anyways. But people don't really see that. They just assume like, oh, if I can't make people or get people a tangible result, how can I charge $2K? Because you pay me $2,000 or $3K or $4K or $5K. If I can't show you that you're getting $5,000 back in value, I don't believe it's worth it. So they haven't done that work enough to really figure out what is this result worth to the client. And then going back to my original point, which is the reason it's so important to find those people who are just sole clients, they need your help, is because they value your service at such a higher level. Like let's take Tyler, right? If I work with Tyler versus some like random, let's say lower level beginner coach, if I help Tyler make one little tweak in his messaging and he runs that as an ad and it makes him another $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month, is it worth it, him paying me $6K, $7K, $8K for that little tweak? Yeah. But if I give that same piece of value to maybe like a total beginner client, it goes right over their head. Is it worth it to them? No, because they haven't implemented it. So it really depends on who you're speaking to, finding the right audience that directly correlates to the value you can provide, and then being able to communicate and convey that both to your client, but also to yourself. I think that's like the biggest limiting belief or the biggest bottleneck for the most part. And that's why people don't charge what they're worth.
That totally validates what you were saying a moment ago too about the features versus the value, because I mean, with the fitness coach example, you listed probably half a dozen different things that most people would pay through the nose to get that result if they completely believed you would get it.
Yeah.
At no point did you talk about macros or your sleep or the
coaching
workout schedule.
Calls you get.
If we're if we're doing strength training or high rocks or powerlifting or bodybuilding.
I always tell people like they don't care about what you get. They care about the result. So they don't care about how you get there. They just want to be healthy.
They don't care about what you get. They care about what you get.
Yeah, exactly.
Intelligence.
Yes.
Nice.
Trademark that. It's true though. They don't care about what you get in the program. They care about what do they get as a result.
They don't care about what you get. They care about what they get. Nice. All right, we'll workshop it a little bit more. Cool. So the third and final thing that I did want to touch on, which I have miraculously somehow remembered. Talk to me about self-awareness, because a lot of people, I mean, that seems to be the common thread throughout our conversation here, is like really, having confidence and having a clear perspective of like who you are, where you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, all that stuff. A lot of people, when they talk about finding themselves, they mean they go on a backpacking trip and spend 4 years and, contribute nothing meaningful. And I mean, everyone's got their own life. So I'm not just going to be like, I hate backpackers in principle or anything like that. But one thing that you've also talked about in the past is with the content, like we need data, we need information, we need to actually know what we're improving on. So how practically should people go about developing self-awareness, and just like any other general thoughts you'd have on the topic?
Get a coach. You could figure it out yourself, which arguably that's sort of what I did the first 5 years of me being in business. And then I went really hard on hiring coaches, and the amount of self-awareness that I got from having coaches in different realms 10x, if not more. Like the amount of like self-awareness or perspective you get from like a 1 hour coaching call with the right coach who can show you your blind spots and show you where you're not maybe seeing certain things, it collapses time like nothing, right? So if you have the funds and the means and you're looking to like actually get some results quick, the easiest way to do it is get a coach. Like get a coach. For instance, there's some people in my program where those first couple weeks where it's a lot more introspective, it's more about the foundations, literally self-awareness. If I can give them a guiding path that shows them how to do it in a few weeks versus taking, let's say, 2 years to figure it out themselves, that's the easiest way to go about it. If you're going to do it the hard way, I mean, I think it just comes down to try different things, see what you're good at, see what you're not good at. It's going back to the very first episode. It's like you just need to do. If you're not going to do, you're not going to figure things out. People, I see it all over social media now. It's like you need to start thinking so much or stop thinking so much and just start doing.
Joe says I need to start thinking, guys.
Oh, no.
I'm taking this to heart.
Yeah, Gabe, he's always thinking too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I'm here, because I don't think at all. I just do.
Between the two of us, we arrive at a happy medium,
Basically.
Yeah. Cool.
I would just say get a coach. Like, it's so much easier. And again, you can't see you don't know what you don't know. You can't see what you can't see.
I mean, and obviously this is your world. You're talking to coaches constantly. And so, of course, you'd be fired up about it. I do have to ask, though, is another reason that you're bullish on it because you're pissed that you're not 5 years ahead of where you could be with the time that you lost?
Yeah, probably. Well, that's another reason why I built this entire program in general. Is like it goes back to the branding. It goes to the mindset. I did it the hard way. I probably could have worked smarter, gotten coaches earlier, found people who could be a good complement to where I'm trying to get to. And instead, I tried to figure it out myself. And I failed, and I failed, and I failed. And I took the hard route. And I want to help people avoid needing to do it all themselves and have like literally a clear-cut roadmap to follow so they don't have this guesswork. They're not spinning their wheels. They're not doing things that aren't going to produce results. Like I'm just showing them what I did personally to get to where I'm at. And I'm showing them how to do it in 3 months versus, 4 or 5 years.
That makes sense. One thing to just kind of stress test this, though. One of the objections that we hear with regard to AI and people outsourcing their thinking to it is it atrophies your ability to think critically and to figure stuff out very, very quickly. So there's obviously a line, if I'm a peasant, in the 11th century and I want to learn to be a blacksmith, well, I can just, hit metal with a hammer until I figure things out, or I can go work for a guy that can actually, show me the ropes. Where is the line in your mind between getting help versus not going through the hardship to actually genuinely develop the skill in the first place? Because someone might argue, well, Joe, like I should go the hard way because that's going to make me tougher. It's going to make me stronger. It's going to make me better.
That's stupid.
Why?
It's stupid advice. Because it's like if I can get a coach and he can show me how to get a result faster, why would you want to go the hard route? Like the stupidest objection I've ever heard in my entire life is, oh yeah, well, let me just try it again for 1 or 2 more months. Let me see if I can make it work. And if I don't, then I'll come back to you. It's like, no, you're not going to come back to me because I'm not going to take you on as a client because that's the most retarded thing you could ever say. I mean, think about it though. It's like, why you're already failing. You're already not making the progress you want to be making. Why would you spend another 2 months delaying your results? All you're doing by procrastinating 1, 2, 3, 4 months down the road with us not working together, all it's doing is delaying your results. You're just going to keep failing, which is stupid. That's why you need to get a coach. And I also would say if you're going to hire a coach, the tall tale sign that you're hiring the right coach is they don't give you the answers. They don't give you all the answers on a silver platter where it's like, hey, can you help me with this? What should I do here? Oh, do this. Same thing with leadership. Same thing with that's what a parent does. Like one really big credit to my dad is he helped me sort of come to the conclusion on my own. And so he almost did the opposite of what AI does, which AI is going to give you that answer on a silver platter. Whereas a good coach, I don't give people the answer 100% of the time. My goal is to force you to think and to come up with the conclusion. I'll sort of guide you in the right direction so we're not veering off the road and being stupid. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have you come to your own conclusion because you need to be, you need to think critically about it.
Well, you nailed it there because I was going to follow up with, okay, Joe, like obviously we want to take the shorter route. However, going back to AI, but you nailed it right there because it's the difference between hiring a guide to help you take every step on Mount Everest to make sure you're going the right direction, you don't get lost, you don't freeze to death, whatever. But it's not a dude that has a helicopter that's like, hey, get in, I'm going to put you at the top and you can say you hiked Mount Everest.
Like, it's still going to be hard. Like, when you hire me, I'm not going to say, like, yeah, it's super easy. You're going to make, like, 10,000 in 10 days. Maybe it's possible, but, like, you're going to have to go through some trial and error. But what I'm doing is I'm making it easier. I'm pointing you in the right direction so we're not wasting time. But I'm also not your crutch. I'm not going to pull you. And that's the difference between, like, a coach that's going to pull you along and drag you along versus a coach that's going to allow you to maybe fall on your face here and there or, allow you to come up with your own conclusions. I even put in my first module of my video, like, that the video be the best, right? Like, it's still up to you to put in the work and, think critically.
Yeah, so it really, at the end of the day, when it comes to getting a coach, it comes down to finding someone that is going to tell you what to do, but by implication, tell you what not to do. Get all the inefficiencies out of it so you have the shortest path from A to B. So if we go back to the guide analogy, we take this step, and we take this turn at that rock and this turn at that tree.
Yeah, it's like
versus I can wander all over the mountain.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm giving you the map, right? Yeah. Like, here's the framework, here's the course, here's the coaching, here's the map. But guess what? I'm not going to, like, drive you up the hill or, like you said, fly you in my helicopter that I have. I'm not going to do it for you.
I'm going to manifest that shit.
Yeah. I don't even think I want a helicopter. That scares me.
Yeah.
Like Kobe and all these guys that are just dying in helicopter crashes.
Are there a lot of them?
Yeah. R.I.P. Kobe. R.I.P.
I mean, I knew about Kobe, obviously, but
who's that? What's that singer's? Why am I always blanking? What's that guy who just died in the helicopter crash? What is his name?
Oh, I think
DJ.
Was this like a month or two ago?
I don't
know.
A DJ.
I don't know the name, but I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, R.I.P. that guy.
Yeah. Well, no one's ever crashed a plane though, so that's all good. Yeah.
Exactly. Planes are much safer.
Yeah. Anyway, very much.
Anyways, I would say So I mean, if you're gonna hire a coach, you need to get a coach that's done what you want to do. Right. That's very logical. But also find a coach that's going to not just give you all the answers. I've had coaches and they just give the answers, and again, it takes out that critical thinking, and that actually can sabotage you. Because then guess what? You depend on them. And let's say you stop hiring them, you stop working with them. Imagine 3 years down the line when we all depend on Claude and ChatGPT, take that away in one day. Who knows? People's brains
that's the real apocalypse. That's where the preppers, like, that's where we need
people's
them.
brains are going to be mush because they are literally, I'll see people's answers in some of the coaching calls or like the homework assignments. I'm like, did you just go to Claude and chat and just get a prompt? Like, did you actually do this? So it's unfortunate, but like I always say, there's always a middle ground to how you use AI. There's always a middle ground to everything. So don't be that person that fully depends on chat.
Have you seen there's this
Now you're having the
I can't find man. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to take the time to search the keywords, but there was this post on it. I think it was like Twitter or Reddit or something. The screenshot went viral where it was somebody that was saying, like, I've realized I can essentially, like, take the prompt I would have given an AI and, like, predict what the AI is going to say in my own head. Like, pretty cool. And the entire comment section was like, bro just discovered thinking from first principles.
Can you believe that? Is that sad?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep. So your competitive advantage in, what's that movie? Idiocracy world. is having a brain and knowing how to use it. And it also sounds like, obviously, like having a mentor is super helpful, but also on a personal level, just actually gauging what you're doing and if something is moving you in a productive direction or not, and then, doing more of what works and doing less of what doesn't, which is that whole idea. I can't even remember if we covered it earlier or not, but no, I think this was when we were at the gym before we were recording. But the idea is essentially you can't improve what you don't measure.
Yep.
Like if you're not paying attention to physically what you're doing in your own life, then you're not going to know where to start.
Yeah.
And so it's like whether you have a coach or not, that also seems to be pretty important.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, measure stats, get the data. That all automatically gives you some self-awareness,
Absolutely.
It's like, oh, wait, I'm not waking up on time. Oh, wait, I'm not sending all the DMs I thought I was,
Cool.
Data doesn't lie for the most part.
I heard a rumor that your wife would like to go out with you this evening, and we are at just over an hour, so I think we should wrap. But do you have any final thoughts on self-awareness, critical thinking, getting a coach?
What do you guys think?
How many cans of beans you should have in your basement? How many rounds of 5.56 or
Yeah, this was an
7.62?
interesting episode. We're going to definitely need to clip some of that stuff and put it on Gabe's page.
We're getting into it. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Can you imagine?
Just random schizophrenic rants. Yeah, I'm a philosophy guy.
Yeah.
like that's my thing.
If you haven't noticed.
Yeah, I like to think about things. I think about a lot of things. I have a lot of random thoughts that are not constructive in any way, shape, or form. But I like to pick apart reality. I like to think about things. Sometimes I like to think I'm moderately intelligent. So it's a good time. It's a good time. But
oh, that was a good little clip.
Wait, that was a video?
Wait, can I show you? That's the only clip. That's the only clip Instagram is gonna see. They'll have to see the episode drop. Like,
Falling off the stool.
Welcome to the Gabe Show. I like to think I'm moderately intelligent sometimes.
Oh, that's brutal.
That couldn't have been more perfect.
That was perfect. Oh, all right. Well,
all right. I think we're good episode.
Which camera? This one? Don't switch them on me. Bad habit. Okay. Yeah. Thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode of the RJM Show. As always, you can find Joe at Real Joe McCarthy on Instagram, assuming Instagram has not been nuked from orbit.
Yeah.
You can also find him on YouTube and other places too.
Yeah, at Real Joe McCarthy, all platforms. Go follow me. We might as well start building this habit of diversifying now, I suppose. So.
And another thought too, while we're on it, we've totally forgotten to mention it on previous episodes. We have an email list. This is something that I am a huge advocate of on account of the fact that it is a lot of the secret sauce that Joe is directly teaching to his clients in real time. And so it's the things that work, it's the things that are working, and there's a lot of great value. Like,
a ton.
Yeah. Me just like going through, seeing the bullet points, everything. Massive. So
so if you want to join that email list, I guess we'll put it in the description, I'm assuming. So feel free to click that link. You'd be stupid not to do that. Because, it's just free value multiple times a week.
Get a coach.
And get a coach, yeah. This guy.
All right, sweet. Well, so Real Joe McCarthy on Instagram, all other places, email list. You can follow me at Gabriel Schickler for, I guess,
Doomsday content, philosophy,
whatever shenanigans.
Blacksmith. He always be talking about the blacksmiths.
I like the medieval era, man. That's my thing. Dragons, swords, and castles, and all that. And,
nerdy, very nerdy.
The peak of human existence, right there.
Until next time.
We will catch you all on the next episode, which I'm sure will not have as many tangents.
Probably not, yeah. Might be a little bit more focused, we'll see.
Maybe.
But this was fun.
We'll see. Yeah, let us know your thoughts. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Other call to action words that I'm not forgetting right now. Catchy catchphrase that we still have not decided on.
Oh, yeah, we need to figure that out.
Yeah,
if you guys have any ideas on catchphrases, if any of you guys are music mixers, you want to get like an outro theme song, let me know. Make me a PBD one, like, that one that's like something about Goliath, bet David.
Somebody made Brad a similar one too. Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
So make me one. Thanks.
Before I do. All right, out.